Forced into a competition she never wanted, Brianna must face a web of deceit, ambition, and high-stakes rivalry, all while a wealthy heir named Darius searches for love beyond fortune. When the last contestant arrives, her presence threatens to change everything, leaving everyone questioning their motives and destiny. What secrets will unravel when hearts and lives collide? Hello family, welcome to True Life Stories. Please subscribe and leave a like for us, it means the world to us. Also share this video to your friends and loved ones and turn on post notifications so you don't miss future videos from us. Thank you as you do so. Sit back and relax as we dive into the story. Brianna's life has been anything but easy since her mother passed away. Her father, a successful businessman, remarried just months after the loss, leaving Brianna to adjust to a new reality dominated by Cheryl, her manipulative and cold-hearted stepmother. Cheryl quickly took control of the household and the family's finances, squandering resources with her extravagant lifestyle. When Brianna's father fell into a coma after a sudden health crisis, Cheryl seized the opportunity to tighten her grip. Cheryl presented Brianna with a shocking proposition: participate in an exclusive competition hosted by the wealthy Hughes family. The competition promises a chance to secure financial stability for their crumbling estate, if Brianna wins. Cheryl frames the opportunity as a selfless act to save her father's legacy, but Brianna sees through her stepmother's selfish motives. "I don't want to go," Brianna says firmly, her voice trembling with suppressed anger. "I won't be part of your schemes, Cheryl." Cheryl smirks, dismissing Brianna's resistance as childish rebellion. "You're going whether you like it or not. I've already signed your invitation. This will be the greatest contribution you'll ever make in your entire life." Brianna seethes with frustration. For years, she has endured Cheryl's dismissive remarks and constant belittling, but this demand feels like a step too far. Despite her defiance, Brianna knows she is trapped. The family business teeters on the brink of bankruptcy, and her father's mounting medical bills leave few options. If she refuses, she risks losing the very foundation of her family's legacy. Later that night, Brianna stares out of her bedroom window, grappling with the impossible choice before her. Memories of her father's kindness and wisdom flood her mind, filling her with guilt. She whispers to herself, "This isn't for Cheryl. This is for Dad." With a heavy heart, she resolves to go through with it. Not for Cheryl's benefit, but to honor her father's hard work. Meanwhile, across town, Darius Hughes stands by the window of his opulent penthouse, watching the city lights flicker below. His mother, Mrs. Hughes, enters the room and gently places a hand on his shoulder. "Are you ready for tomorrow?" she asks, her voice filled with motherly concern. Darius sighs, his expression weary. "Do we really have to do this, Mom? Another competition, more women trying to impress me for the wrong reasons. What's the point?" Mrs. Hughes offers a small smile, attempting to reassure him. "I know you're tired of this, Darius, but I believe there's someone out there who will see you for who you really are. We just need to find her." Despite his doubts, Darius agrees to go along with his mother's plan, knowing how much she wants to see him happy. As the night deepens, both Brianna and Darius prepare for the next day, unaware that their lives are about to change in ways they could never have imagined. The central conflict establishes the motivations of the two main characters. Brianna's reluctant decision to participate in the competition sets the stage for her growth, while Darius's disillusionment with his privileged life hints at his yearning for something genuine. Their eventual meeting promises to upend their carefully constructed worlds. The morning of the competition dawns crisp and clear, but for Brianna, the weight of her reluctant decision clouds the day. Dressed in a simple yet elegant outfit that Cheryl handpicked, she arrives at the gates of the sprawling Hughes estate. The mansion, a grand architectural marvel surrounded by manicured gardens and ornate fountains, looms before her, a stark contrast to her current reality. Inside, the other contestants are already gathered. Each woman is dressed to impress, exuding confidence and poise. Brianna feels out of place among them, her reluctance palpable as she shifts uncomfortably under their scrutinizing gazes. Cheryl's voice echoes in her mind. "Remember, Brianna, you're not just representing yourself. You're saving this family." The thought fuels her determination to endure whatever lies ahead. Meanwhile, Darius and his mother, Mrs. Hughes, prepare to meet the participants. Darius is dressed impeccably, but his disinterest is evident in his aloof demeanor. Standing beside him, Mrs. Hughes radiates poise and warmth, greeting each contestant with polite enthusiasm. As the participants are introduced, Darius offers each a courteous handshake, though his mind remains detached. To him, this is yet another parade of people seeking his wealth, not his heart. The 6 women selected for the competition come from a variety of backgrounds, each bringing their own charm and ambitions. Vanessa, a confident and charismatic socialite who thrives in competitive settings. Keisha, a quiet but cunning artist whose calm exterior hides a fierce determination. Jasmine, a bubbly fashion designer with a knack for winning people over with her charm. Alicia, a seasoned lawyer who views the competition as a calculated career move. Chanel, a shy school teacher who feels out of place but hopes to prove herself. Brianna, the reluctant participant whose sincerity and strength set her apart. As Darius interacts with the women, his indifference begins to waver. Each woman's introduction reveals hints of their personality, but it is Brianna's reserved yet defiant attitude that catches his attention. Unlike the others, she avoids excessive flattery, her honesty shining through in her simple responses. Just as the introductions conclude, Mrs. Hughes notices something amiss. "Where's the 6th participant?" she murmurs, scanning the room. The absence of one contestant creates an air of mystery and tension. Mrs. Hughes addresses the group, outlining the competition's structure. Over the next week, the participants will undergo a series of challenges designed to test their character, intelligence, and compatibility with Darius. At the end of each day, one contestant will be eliminated, narrowing the group until a winner is chosen. Darius's disinterest begins to crack as he observes the contestants' reactions. Some are eager, others nervous, but Brianna stands out. Her expression is guarded, her eyes hinting at a story far deeper than what she's revealed. The tension in the Hughes mansion is palpable as the remaining contestants and hosts await the arrival of the 6th participant. The competition has just begun, and yet the absence of this mysterious individual has already disrupted the carefully orchestrated introductions. Mrs. Hughes casts a nervous glance at her son, while the other contestants murmur among themselves, speculating on the reasons behind the delay. Just as the murmurs grow louder, the massive double doors of the mansion swing open. The room falls silent as the late arrival steps into view. Her name is revealed to be Lyra, a young woman whose entrance immediately commands attention. Her striking appearance is not born of opulence or luxury, but a raw elegance and confidence that make her stand out. Her outfit is simple yet sophisticated, and her eyes hold a quiet intensity that seems to challenge the very air of the room. Brianna, standing at the edge of the group, watches Lyra with a mix of curiosity and unease. There is something about this woman, something magnetic and slightly unsettling. The other contestants exchange glances, their smiles thinning as they size up this unexpected rival. Darius's gaze lingers on Lyra longer than he intends. There's something different about her, something he can't quite place. For the first time since the competition began, he feels a spark of genuine intrigue. Mrs. Hughes steps forward, her practiced poise masking her frustration at the disruption. "Thank you for joining us, Lyra," she says with a measured smile. "We were beginning to think you wouldn't make it." Lyra offers an unapologetic smile, her voice calm and steady. "I wouldn't miss it for the world." The subtle defiance in her tone doesn't go unnoticed, earning her both admiration and skepticism from those around her. As the group disperses for the evening's welcome dinner, the contestants naturally gravitate into smaller cliques, testing alliances and observing their competition. Lyra remains somewhat aloof, her every move calculated yet unassuming. She navigates the social dynamics with ease, neither overly friendly nor dismissive, leaving an air of mystery in her wake. Brianna finds herself torn. On one hand, she feels relief that the spotlight has shifted away from her as Lyra's arrival captures everyone's attention. On the other, she can't shake a growing sense of foreboding. Lyra's confidence and enigmatic charm feel like a direct challenge, stirring feelings of inadequacy that Brianna has long suppressed. Seated at the dinner table, Brianna keeps her interactions polite and minimal, focusing on observing the others. Lyra's arrival seems to have thrown the group into a state of flux. Vanessa and Alicia, two of the more outspoken contestants, exchange whispered remarks, their subtle barbs aimed at Lyra. Yet Lyra remains unbothered, her composure unshaken. Darius watches the dynamics unfold with a newfound sense of engagement. Lyra's late arrival has disrupted his initial impressions, forcing him to reevaluate his expectations for the competition. He finds himself drawn to her quiet confidence and unspoken defiance. But as his gaze shifts to Brianna, he notices a stark contrast. Her sincerity and vulnerability stand out amidst the more calculated behavior of the others. For the first time, Darius begins to wonder if this competition might lead him to something real, a connection that transcends the superficial trappings of wealth and status. Later that evening, as the guests retire to their rooms, Brianna steps out onto the balcony to clear her mind. The cool night air soothes her frazzled nerves as she gazes at the sprawling gardens below. She is startled when she notices Lyra standing alone near the fountain, her silhouette illuminated by the moonlight. Curiosity gets the better of her, and Brianna decides to approach. As she nears, Lyra turns to face her, a small, knowing smile playing on her lips. "You're not like the others," Lyra says softly, her voice carrying a note of understanding. Brianna is taken aback but doesn't deny it. "Neither are you," she replies cautiously. For a fleeting moment, the two women share a rare connection, one born of mutual recognition that they both don't entirely belong in this opulent world. But just as quickly, the moment passes and Lyra turns away, leaving Brianna with more questions than answers. As the night deepens, the atmosphere in the Hughes mansion remains charged with anticipation. The contestants prepare for the challenges ahead, their minds racing with strategies and fears. Meanwhile, Darius contemplates the complex dynamics forming among the women, his interest in both Brianna and Lyra growing with each passing hour. With a sense of unease and excitement, as the arrival of Lyra disrupts the established order and sets the stage for new alliances, rivalries, and unexpected twists. The stakes are higher than ever, and everyone senses that the competition has truly begun. The competition shifts into full gear as the first challenge is announced during breakfast in the Hughes mansion's elegant dining hall. The contestants, dressed in casual yet stylish attire, gather around Mrs. Hughes, who exudes a calm authority as she reveals the task, a teamwork exercise designed to test their ability to cooperate under pressure. "Today's challenge is about collaboration," Mrs. Hughes explains. "In life and relationships, no one succeeds alone. Your ability to work together will determine your success in this task." Her words elicit a mix of reactions. Brianna feels a flicker of relief. Teamwork might be her chance to stand out without resorting to calculated manipulation. Lyra, on the other hand, remains composed, her expression unreadable. The other contestants exchange competitive glances, their smiles masking their true intentions. The women are divided into pairs through a random draw. Brianna is partnered with Vanessa, a confident and outspoken socialite, while Lyra ends up with Jasmine, the bubbly fashion designer. The challenge requires each pair to navigate a large garden maze while solving riddles and collecting tokens scattered along the way. The first team to complete the maze with all tokens wins, while the team with the fewest tokens faces elimination. As the competition begins, the tension among the contestants becomes palpable. Vanessa takes control of her team with a commanding presence, dictating their strategy without consulting Brianna. Frustrated but determined not to cause conflict, Brianna reluctantly follows Vanessa's lead, suppressing her growing annoyance. Meanwhile, Lyra and Jasmine make an unlikely pair. Jasmine's enthusiasm contrasts sharply with Lyra's calm, methodical approach. Despite their differences, they find a rhythm, surprising the other teams with their efficiency. As the challenge progresses, alliances and rivalries begin to emerge. Vanessa's domineering behavior becomes a liability, causing her and Brianna to fall behind. Brianna finally speaks up, asserting herself and steering the team back on track. Her quiet determination surprises Vanessa, who reluctantly cedes some control. In another corner of the maze, Lyra and Jasmine uncover a hidden token that no other team notices. Jasmine giggles with excitement, but Lyra's sharp eyes catch Darius watching from a balcony overlooking the maze. For a moment, their gazes lock, and Darius feels a jolt of curiosity. By the time the challenge ends, Lyra and Jasmine secure the win, while Brianna and Vanessa narrowly avoid elimination. Alicia and Chanel, whose communication broke down completely, are at the bottom of the rankings, with Chanel ultimately being sent home. That evening, the women gather in the lounge, the atmosphere charged with both relief and tension. Lyra and Jasmine share a quiet moment of celebration, their unexpected teamwork earning them respect from the others. Brianna sits apart, reflecting on the day's events. Though she struggled, she feels a newfound confidence in her ability to assert herself. Vanessa approaches Brianna, her usual bravado softened. "You surprised me today," she admits. "I didn't think you had it in you to push back." Brianna smiles faintly. I didn't think I had it in me either. Their conversation hints at the possibility of an alliance, though both women remain wary of trusting one another fully. Back in her room, Brianna receives an unexpected phone call from Cheryl. Her stepmother's tone is sharp and impatient. How are you not winning? Cheryl snaps. You're supposed to dominate this competition. Don't let these other girls overshadow you. Brianna clenches her fist, her resentment toward Cheryl simmering. I'm doing my best, she replies through gritted teeth. Your best isn't good enough, Cheryl retorts. Remember, this isn't just about you. It's about saving your father's legacy. Do whatever it takes, Brianna. The call leaves Brianna shaken. She knows Cheryl's words are manipulative, but the weight of her father's situation keeps her tethered to the competition. Later that night, Darius reviews footage of the challenge, analyzing the contestants' behavior. Brianna's quiet determination and Vanessa's fiery leadership catch his attention, but it is Lyra's composure and sharp instincts that leave the strongest impression. He recalls the moment their eyes met in the maze, the connection sparking something he can't quite define. Darius begins to wonder if Lyra's late arrival and enigmatic nature hold more significance than he initially thought. As the day ends, tensions among the contestants simmer just below the surface. Bonds are beginning to form, but hidden motives and personal ambitions threaten to unravel them. Cheryl's manipulations loom large over Brianna, and Darius's growing interest in Lyra adds a layer of complexity to the unfolding drama. The chapter concludes with a sense of unease. Trust and alliances are fragile, and the competition is becoming more than a game. It's a test of character, resilience, and the strength of human connections. The atmosphere in the Hughes mansion grows heavier as the competition enters its next phase. The remaining contestants, Brianna, Lyra, Vanessa, Alicia, and Jasmine, wake to an announcement that today's challenge will be unlike any other. Mrs. Hughes hints at a task designed to push them beyond their comfort zones, revealing their true selves in the process. For Brianna, the weight of Cheryl's manipulations feels unbearable. Lyra, on the other hand, remains calm and enigmatic, her presence continuing to unsettle the others. Unbeknownst to everyone, the day's events will uncover secrets that will change the course of the competition. Mrs. Hughes gathers the contestants in the mansion's sunlit atrium. Today's challenge, she announces, is about honesty. Each of you will face a series of questions that delve into your values, motivations, and choices. You'll answer in front of Darius and the other contestants. This is your chance to prove your integrity and vulnerability. The announcement sends a ripple of anxiety through the group. Brianna feels her stomach twist. She has nothing to hide, but the thought of exposing her emotions in front of everyone is daunting. Vanessa's confident facade wavers, and Alicia's composed demeanor shows the slightest crack. Lyra, as always, remains inscrutable, her steady gaze giving nothing away. The contestants are seated in a semicircle, facing Darius and Mrs. Hughes. Each woman is called forward to answer a series of probing questions, ranging from personal values to moments of regret. When it's Brianna's turn, she hesitates before stepping forward. Her voice trembles as she begins to answer the questions, but she speaks with honesty. What motivates you to be here? Mrs. Hughes asks. Brianna glances at Darius, then down at her hands. I'm here for my father, she says quietly. He worked his entire life to build a future for our family, and now it's slipping away. I didn't come here for wealth or status. I came here because I can't stand the thought of losing everything he fought for. Her vulnerability strikes a chord with Darius, who sees in her a depth of sincerity he hadn't noticed before. The other contestants exchange subtle glances, some admiring her courage, others viewing it as a weakness to exploit. Lyra is the last to step forward. The room falls silent as she takes her place, her presence commanding attention. What's the biggest mistake you've ever made? Darius asks, his voice steady but curious. Lyra's gaze doesn't waver. Trusting the wrong people, she says simply. Believing that loyalty would be enough to keep them by my side. Her words carry a weight that hangs in the air, and for the first time, the other contestants seem unsure of how to respond. Lyra's answer is brief, but it hints at a painful past, one that Darius finds himself wanting to understand. As the challenge concludes, Mrs. Hughes announces that the contestants will have some free time before the results are revealed. Brianna retreats to the library, seeking solace among the books. While exploring, she stumbles upon a folder left carelessly on a desk. Its contents stop her cold, a dossier on each contestant, complete with detailed notes on their backgrounds and motivations. Flipping through the pages, Brianna discovers that Cheryl had been in contact with Mrs. Hughes long before the competition began. Cheryl's notes reveal her plan to manipulate the process to ensure Brianna's success, regardless of the cost. The realization leaves Brianna reeling. "This wasn't supposed to be about me," she whispers, clutching the folder tightly. It's always been about her. Unbeknownst to Brianna, Darius has entered the library. He watches her from the doorway, his expression a mix of concern and curiosity. Later that evening, Darius approaches Brianna in the garden. "I saw you in the library earlier," he begins, his tone gentle but probing. "Is everything okay?" Brianna hesitates, unsure whether to confide in him. Finally, she decides to tell him part of the truth. "I found something that made me question why I'm really here," she says carefully. Darius looks at her intently. "I've been questioning that too for everyone. But with you it feels different. I see someone who's fighting for more than herself." Their conversation deepens the connection between them, but Brianna can't shake the guilt of knowing Cheryl's involvement. At the evening's elimination ceremony, Mrs. Hughes announces the results of the challenge. Alicia, whose answers were deemed too calculated, is eliminated. Her departure leaves the remaining contestants even more determined to stay. As the night ends, the tension between the women is palpable. Brianna grapples with the weight of Cheryl's manipulations. Lyra remains an enigma, and Darius grows increasingly invested in uncovering the truth about each contestant, with revelations that set the stage for deeper conflicts and alliances. The theme of honesty tests the characters' resolve, while the discovery of Cheryl's schemes adds a layer of intrigue that threatens to unravel Brianna's journey. The mansion is abuzz with tension as the competition grows fiercer. With only 4 contestants left, Brianna, Lyra, Vanessa, and Jasmine, the stakes have never been higher. Darius, increasingly invested in the process, begins to spend more time observing the women, hoping to uncover their true intentions. As the days unfold, subtle connections form, rivalries deepen, and the weight of hidden truths becomes unbearable. Darius's interest in Lyra intensifies. Her enigmatic nature and sharp intellect intrigue him, and he begins to seek opportunities to interact with her outside the structured challenges. During a quiet moment in the garden, Darius finds Lyra sketching in a notebook. "You seem to prefer being on your own," he remarks, his voice breaking the serene silence. Lyra looks up, offering a faint smile. "Sometimes it's easier to think when there's no one around to judge you." Darius studies her, sensing layers of guarded emotions beneath her composed exterior. "You're different from the others," he says. "You're not here for the same reasons, are you?" Lyra hesitates before responding. "I'm here because sometimes life doesn't give you a choice." Her words linger in Darius's mind, fueling his desire to uncover the story behind her guarded demeanor. Brianna's unease with Cheryl's manipulations grows, especially after discovering the dossier in the library. Determined to distance herself from her stepmother's schemes, she resolves to forge her own path in the competition. While exploring the mansion's archives, Brianna stumbles upon an old newspaper clipping featuring the Hughes family. The article details a scandal involving Darius's father and a mysterious business associate who disappeared under suspicious circumstances. Among the names mentioned is a family name eerily similar to Lyra's. Brianna's heart races as she pieces together the possibility of a connection between Lyra and the Hughes family. Could she be here for revenge? Brianna wonders, torn between confronting Lyra and keeping the discovery to herself. The next day, Mrs. Hughes announces a new challenge, a trust exercise. The contestants must work in pairs, with one blindfolded and the other acting as their guide through a complex obstacle course. The pairs are chosen randomly. Brianna is paired with Jasmine, whose bubbly personality provides a momentary reprieve from the tension. Lyra is partnered with Vanessa, whose competitive nature creates friction from the outset. As the challenge unfolds, it becomes clear that trust is in short supply. Vanessa, unwilling to relinquish control, argues with Lyra, jeopardizing their progress. Meanwhile, Brianna and Jasmine work seamlessly, surprising the others with their teamwork. During a moment of frustration, Vanessa blurts out, "Why are you even here, Lyra? You don't belong with the rest of us." Lyra remains calm but fires back with a quiet intensity. "Maybe I'm here to remind you that the world doesn't revolve around privilege." The exchange leaves the group shaken, and Darius, watching from the sidelines, begins to question the dynamics among the contestants. Later that evening, Darius approaches Lyra in the mansion's library. "What Vanessa said earlier. What did she mean?" he asks, his tone both curious and concerned. Lyra meets his gaze, her expression unreadable. She doesn't like that I don't play by her rules, she replies. I didn't come here to make friends or impress anyone. Darius presses further. Then why are you here, Lyra? There's something you're not telling me. After a long pause, Lyra sighs. I knew your father, she admits quietly. He wronged my family in ways you can't imagine. When I got the invitation to this competition, I saw it as a chance to understand the legacy you're trying to uphold. Her revelation stuns Darius. So, this is about revenge? No, Lyra says firmly. It started that way, but now, I'm not so sure. Her honesty leaves Darius conflicted. While he feels betrayed by her initial motives, he also admires her courage in revealing the truth. Brianna watches from a distance as Darius and Lyra share an intense conversation. Her discovery about Lyra's potential connection to the Hughes family weighs heavily on her mind. Should she warn Darius, or let him uncover the truth himself? That night, Brianna confronts Lyra in private. I know about your connection to the Hughes family, she says, her voice steady but laced with tension. Lyra raises an eyebrow. And what do you plan to do with that information? I haven't decided yet, Brianna admits. But if you're here for the wrong reasons, I won't stand by and let you hurt anyone. Lyra's expression softens. You don't know the whole story, Brianna. Don't judge me before you understand what I've been through. As the chapter concludes, the dynamics within the competition are irrevocably altered. Darius grapples with his growing feelings for Lyra despite her revelations, while Brianna is torn between loyalty to the truth and her own survival in the competition. The tension among the contestants reaches a boiling point, setting the stage for explosive confrontations and unexpected alliances in the chapters to come. Secrets have been unearthed, but the most significant revelations are still waiting to unfold. The Hughes mansion feels like a pressure cooker as secrets and unresolved tensions simmer beneath the surface. The remaining contestants, Brianna, Lyra, Vanessa, and Jasmine, sense that the competition is nearing its breaking point. For Darius, the weight of recent revelations weighs heavily on his mind, particularly Lyra's connection to his father's past. With so much left unsaid, it becomes clear that the truth must come to light before anyone can move forward. Mrs. Hughes gathers everyone in the mansion's grand ballroom to announce the final challenge. This is not just a test of skill, she says, her voice steady but firm. This challenge is designed to reveal your true character. Each of you will have the opportunity to present your vision for the future, how you would contribute to the Hughes legacy if given the chance. The announcement sends ripples of unease through the group. Brianna feels a pang of anxiety, but also determination to speak her truth. Vanessa sees it as an opportunity to outshine the others, while Jasmine hopes to prove her worth with charm and optimism. Lyra, however, remains an enigma, her calm exterior hiding the storm within. Before the presentations begin, Darius confides in his mother about Lyra's revelation. She said she knew Dad. Darius begins, pacing the room. She claims he wronged her family. Mrs. Hughes pales slightly, but maintains her composure. Your father's business dealings weren't always above board, she admits reluctantly. It's possible her story is true. But the question is, what are her intentions now? Darius wrestles with conflicting emotions, anger at the possibility of his father's wrongdoing, guilt over his growing feelings for Lyra, and uncertainty about whether he can trust her. The contestants take turns presenting their visions. Vanessa delivers a polished and confident pitch about expanding the Hughes family's influence through strategic business ventures. Her words are impressive but feel rehearsed, lacking genuine passion. Jasmine focuses on philanthropy, proposing initiatives to use the Hughes fortune for social good. While her ideas are heartfelt, they lack the depth and practicality needed to make a lasting impact. Brianna speaks from the heart, emphasizing the importance of preserving her father's legacy and using her position to uplift others. Her vulnerability and sincerity resonate deeply with Darius, who sees in her a reflection of his own aspirations. When it's Lyra's turn, the room falls silent. She steps forward, her gaze steady and her voice unwavering. I came here with a different purpose, she begins, glancing briefly at Darius. I wanted to understand the Hughes legacy, not the public image, but the reality behind it. She goes on to propose a foundation that addresses the harm caused by unethical business practices, using the Hughes resources to rebuild trust and create opportunities for underserved communities. Her words are raw and powerful, revealing a depth of understanding and a genuine desire for change. After the presentations, Darius pulls Lyra aside. "Why didn't you tell me the full truth sooner?" he asks, his voice tinged with frustration. Lyra meets his gaze. "Because I didn't know if you would believe me, or if it would even matter to you." Her honesty disarms him. "It does matter," Darius says after a pause. "I don't want to continue my father's mistakes. If he hurt your family, I want to make it right. But I need to know, are you here to punish me for his actions, or are you here because you see something worth building together?" Lyra takes a deep breath. "At first, it was about revenge. But now, I see that you're not your father. You want to be better, and so do I. Maybe we can do that together." While Darius and Lyra's conversation unfolds, Brianna finds herself in a moral quandary. She has the evidence of Lyra's connection to the Hughes family and Cheryl's manipulations weighing heavily on her conscience. Confronting Darius with the truth could secure her place in the competition. But at what cost? Brianna decides to take a leap of faith. During a private moment with Darius, she confesses everything she knows about Cheryl's involvement. "I'm not here because of my stepmother's schemes," she insists. "I'm here because I believe in fighting for what's right. You deserve to know the truth, even if it hurts my chances." Darius is struck by her integrity and thanks her for her honesty, further solidifying his respect for her. That evening, Mrs. Hughes announces the results of the challenge. Vanessa, whose presentation lacked genuine conviction, is eliminated. The remaining three, Brianna, Lyra, and Jasmine, prepare for the final phase of the competition, knowing that their lives are on the brink of transformation. Darius standing alone on the mansion's balcony, gazing at the stars. He reflects on the choices before him and the women who have challenged him to rethink everything he thought he knew. The truth has been unveiled, but the path forward remains uncertain. Brianna, Lyra, and Darius are all at a crossroads, their futures intertwined in ways none of them could have anticipated. The final chapter will reveal whether trust, forgiveness, and love can triumph over the shadows of the past. The competition had concluded, and the once bustling Hughes mansion now stood eerily quiet. The air carried a mix of relief and anticipation, as the participants who had left and those who remained reflected on the whirlwind experience. But for Brianna, this moment was more than just the end of a competition. It was the beginning of a new chapter in her life. Having emerged from the final challenge with her integrity intact, Brianna felt a renewed sense of strength. She had faced Cheryl's schemes head-on, exposing the truth about her stepmother's manipulative intentions. Cheryl, desperate to regain control, confronted Brianna in a heated exchange, but this time Brianna didn't falter. "I'm not your pawn anymore, Cheryl," Brianna said firmly, her voice steady. "You've used me for the last time." Cheryl, stunned by Brianna's defiance, attempted to threaten her with financial ruin. But Brianna had already decided she would rather face hardship on her own terms than continue living under Cheryl's thumb. With a deep breath, Brianna walked away, leaving Cheryl to face the consequences of her own actions. Meanwhile, Darius stood on the mansion's grand terrace, gazing out at the sprawling gardens. For the first time in years, he felt free from the expectations of wealth, family obligations, and the facade he had worn to appease others. Watching Brianna confront her stepmother had been a turning point for him. Her courage and authenticity had inspired him to reevaluate his own life. When Brianna joined him on the terrace, their conversation flowed naturally, no longer burdened by the competition's formalities. Darius spoke candidly about his fears of being loved only for his wealth, while Brianna shared her struggles with living in the shadow of her stepmother's control. They found solace in their shared vulnerabilities, and their connection deepened in a way neither had anticipated. As the sun dipped below the horizon, Darius turned to Brianna with a newfound determination. "You've taught me something I didn't think I'd find here: how to be myself again. I don't know what's next, but I'd like to figure it out with you." Brianna smiled, her heart lighter than it had been in years. "I think we both deserve a fresh start." In the days that followed, Darius made a bold decision to step away from the family business, choosing instead to pursue a passion for sustainable architecture. Brianna, now free from Cheryl's control, began working toward her dream of opening a community center for underprivileged youth, a cause close to her heart. Together, they left the Hughes mansion behind, not as competitors or reluctant participants, but as two individuals who had found strength and purpose in one another. Their journey wasn't without challenges, but they faced them with a renewed sense of hope and determination. As they drove away from the estate, Brianna looked out the window, the mansion shrinking in the distance. "It's funny," she said, I came here thinking it was the end of the line. Turns out, it was just the beginning. Darius reached over, taking her hand in his. The best beginnings usually come from the most unexpected places. And with that, they embarked on their new life, leaving behind the shadows of their past and stepping boldly into a future of their own, making with the hope of forever. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed the story. Turn on your notification for my next video.